Hi everybody! Today I am going to show you how I make a glass hummingbird. I'm making this with boro, but it could also be done in soft glass, and you can also actually do these on a mandrel. But this is an off mandrel hummingbird, and I skipped a lot of this gathering this mass up so you didn't have to see it. But I make a ball at the end, and then I let it droop down a little bit. And then I'm going to add the head to this bird, and I offset it a little towards the top side of the head. And I have this video sped up about 30% faster too, so it's not so long and boring for you, but just so you could see me making it. And so I heat up the mass. I'm going to add, I like large heads on my hummingbirds, so I'm adding a little more glass there. And I'm going to heat it up, and I think I go out of screen when I actually heat up this head, but all I'm doing is holding it upside down to let the head like droop outwards so it doesn't actually ball into the rest of the mass. I'm just holding it upside down. Yeah, right there I go out of screen. But that's all I'm doing, is holding it upside down so that the head will droop outwards from the mass. And so now what I'm going to do is, since this is off mandrel, I'm going to attach a beak, but I'm going to actually use that as the handle for the rest of my shaping. So I want it straight, and later on at the end I'll fix the beak because it should go like at a slight downward angle. And so here I am heating the back half of the hummingbird and tapering out its body a little more. So I have like a nice chest section, and that's why the head is offset towards the top a little bit, so you have a nice chest. And I'm tapering it down a little bit so you have a nice body shape. And now I am heating up down the glass rod a little bit so I can leave some mass on there for the tail. And that ball of glass right there at the end will be the tail section. And one thing with boro, which you don't have to worry too much with soft glass, is that when you fuse two pieces together, like when I did the head and the body, they both have to be nice and hot, nice and glowing like a bright yellow, so that they fuse together. You don't want what they call cold seals with boro when you're making a piece like this. You want it totally fused together. And soft glass, I know you don't have that much of an issue with that. So what I did was I just flattened a little disc for the tail, and then I pinched it 3 times to add a little texture. And I'm pulling it outward and downward a little bit from the body. And now I'm just trying to make a nice little point at the end of the hummingbird tail. I mean, so you can shape it differently, but I like it just coming to a nice little point. And when I'm flattening it, I don't flatten it that much because it also gets pinched a little flatter when I use the tweezers. So it's kind of a thick, maybe a 1/4 inch thick gather when I flatten those. And so now here I'm adding mass for the wings. And I'm doing little swipes along the body, and I'm trying to place them in the right area so they're, nice and centered up with each other and centered up with the head and the tail. So I'm just working little by little. I had a thick rod. I didn't have a skinnier rod to work with, and so that's kind of why I'm swiping. I probably could have made thicker swipes, but I didn't want my wings to be, too thickly attached to the body and take away from the rest of the body shape. So I'm just adding glass little by little, swiping it on, making sure it's pretty well fused together. I am going to heat these up totally, but you really want to make sure that the attachment to the body is totally fused. They won't crack off later on, especially with boro. And so I'm just adding glass until I think I have enough for the wing size that I want. And of course, whatever bird you're making, if you're making a bluebird or a hawk or something, you know, you might have larger wings for a hawk or an eagle, and smaller wings, you know, for like a little chickadee or something. But hummingbirds have nice size wings. And so now I'm just heating up the mass of glass on one wing, and I'm gonna just do a little pinch, flatten it, and just like the tail, it's maybe about a 1/4 inch thick. So it's fairly thick because I'm going to pinch it again to add the little bit of texture in the wings. And so now I'm going to do the other one, and I'm trying to get the shape right because there's a little glob at the end there that I was trying to move downward a little bit, and it's still there. So I pinch that one, and then I realized that my first wing is a little bit smaller than the second wing. So I'm going to add just a little bit more glass to this one, just to make them pretty even. And there will be more evening out when I actually go to shape the wings, and you'll see that I take a little bit of time on the wings. So there's my 3 pinches, just like in the tail. And I'm going to do the same with the other side, I believe. I'm going to do 3 pinches there. And so now I have 2 kind of like bee wings. Those would be nice bee wings. If I was going to make a bee, I could just leave them like that, just get the chill marks out. But for hummingbirds, they're going to be pointed wings. So I'm going to heat those up, and I'm going to just attach my rod, if it'll stick, and start pulling it out. And pulling it like towards the back, away from the body, but also towards the tail a little bit. So it's a little off angle. It's not straight out. And then I'm going to do the same with the other wing. And if you notice, like that wing's a little fatter and it's not tapering in the same direction. So this is what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to fix it so that both wings will look fairly similar. I mean, I still don't think they're perfect, but just to get them fairly similar in the right shape, in the right direction, so that they kind of match up. And so that's what I'm doing here. I need to remove some glass from the edge there. As you've seen, I did that swipe along there, and then pulling it out a little more. And then I find the first one, I need to fix that a little bit, so it's the right angle. And so until you're happy with the wings, I mean, it does take some practice to get the wings the same size, the same shape, and going in the same direction. But if you needed to adjust the direction, you could just heat it up right by the base of the body, and then you can move it, like take your paddles or what have you, and you can actually move them up or down to adjust the position of your wing. So that can always be done too. So now I'm reheating that the beak part, and I'm attaching again with a nice hot seal, and I'm pulling in a downward direction. Oh, and I broke it off. But I was trying to view from the side and then also from the front, because you don't want to be going off on a crooked angle, which you can't tell from the side. You want to look at both directions when you're actually making your shape. But there it is. And so now I heat off the little punty that was on the tail. And there's the finished hummingbird, sort of kind of on the edge of the screen. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.